welcome to Step by Step. In my previous video I set up a 60 litre biOrb. I suggested that what you need to do following that video is really just to leave that aquarium just running and let the heater do its thing, make sure everything's okay. And roughly it's the same with a cold water tank, because also you want the water you put in there to get to a temperature that reflects your room temperature. So I did that. So that I left this running for about sort of 5 days, which is what I would tend to do anyway. Everything was fine, and then I'd already hinted that I knew exactly what fish I wanted to put in there. So this video is about those fish and my decision making around that. I'm hoping this video is going to pull together some of the things I've said or some of my other videos where I talk about sort of fish species and the approach to cycling and a range of other things. So I'm hoping this video is going to sort of pull all those sort of things together into a reality, if you like, with the fish I'm going to choose. Now, this video is about tetras. There you are. Now that's a big hint. Yeah, it's about tetras. Now, I've decided that what I want for this aquarium is to go with tetra species. Now, tetras are from Africa, Central America, and South America, and there's over 150 species of tetra. It's not just your neon tetras. There's far more to tetras than those sorts of species. So yeah, my choice is to have tetras. But let's just talk about tetras. I mean, I think the main thing to say is that a lot of them are associated with soft water environments. They tend to be a fish that's found in rivers, and they often will live in water that has a fairly low pH, and a fairly low pH compared to most people's tap water, which sort of takes me back to what I said in one of my other videos, which was always choose your fish that match your tap water, because it will just make your life, and the fish as well, it will make your life that much easier. So particularly in that example was pH of your water, and also the link to that is hardness. If you live in a hard water area, in other words, you'll know if you live in a hard water area because your taps will all get calcium and a range of other things around them. That is not an ideal water for most tetras. So tetras are not a straightforward species. And just to add a bit of spice, if you like, the only tetras I want to put in here are Brazilian tetras. They've got to come from Brazil, or originate from Brazil. So this aquarium is going to have tetras that originate from Brazil. Now, my pH is it's around about 7.3. Now, for most tetras, 7.3 is over their preferred range, but there are some tetras that are considered more hardier than others, and also can tolerate a pH range of about 8 or up to 8. So there are hardy tetras out there, and I think particularly for a new tank, or if you're a beginner, certainly choose hardy. If you want tetras, choose hardy tetras. And just a word of caution, because I think most aquarium shops will sell you them, but neon tetras are highly sensitive. They are very, very sensitive, and I think for most people, it's one of their first thoughts. I'll get neon tetras. Every aquarium's got neon tetras. Neon tetras are very, very sensitive. Not only is the pH preferred range between 5 and 7, so it's a low pH, but they are really a fish that should only go into a tank that is mature. So a tank that is, I'm going to say 6 months. So once you've established a tank, and that tank has been established for about 6 months and is starting to mature, that is the time you need to add tetras. not before that. I'm sure there are people who have tetras and they put them in early and a range of other things, but for a long life and health, they really need to have those sort of parameters I've just mentioned. So yes, I'm going for Brazilian species of tetra, and I'm planning to add 4 different species into this aquarium, which I have to my right, and you can't see them. Now, because they're tetras, are not the reason I've done this really is to show you a way to cycle, what's called a fish-in cycle with fish that allows you to get that tank fully cycled, the bacteria built up within the aquarium, but without causing harm to those fish that are slightly sensitive. So that's exactly what I've done. There are no fish in here, but this morning there were some fish in here, and I've since taken them out because this aquarium is now fully cycled. So to cycle the aquarium, what did I do? Well, I used what I always use, Colony. I have no association with ATM, but it's just the product I always use that I always like and understand. So I use my favourite Colony, but rather than go down the tetra route for a fishing cycle, I used a very hardy fish species. So I use Zebradanios. So and I have Zebradanios in another one of my tanks, so I took 3 of those out and they went in here. So there you are. So I added 3 Zebradanios into here, and I think they thought that their world had changed from a 30 litre to a 60 litre, and now they lived in the sea. Then I applied the correct dose of Colony, which on this size aquarium is 70 mil, and then I let it cycle. Now, it was a very easy and straightforward cycle. Cycling can be very, very difficult, but this was fairly straightforward, I found. And I actually cycled the whole aquarium from start to finish within 4 days. Now, that might be partly influenced by the new method I said about washing your ceramic media in to avoid tap water. So normally I would say 5 or 6 days normally, and it does vary, but normally that's certainly in terms of my aquarium and the fish and the fish species I have, and also the water supply I have. I would normally expect to cycle within sort of 5 to 6 days, and it normally been fairly straightforward. So I use the Zebradanios because they are such. It's hard to think of a more hardier fish species than Zebradanios. They will tolerate most things you throw at them. So they're a fantastic fish. If you want an easy life, if you want an aquarium with fish in, and you quite like Zebradanios, get Zebradanios because they are so easy to look after, and all the mistakes you make are probably not going to have an impact on them. So certainly get Zebradanios. So I used, as normal, I used the API test kit through the cycling. I think the highest the ammonia got was about 0.25, and that lasted for about a day and a half, and then went through to the nitrite, and then eventually it went through to the nitrate. And by after that period, I'd cycled, in other words, 0 ammonia, 0 nitrite, and a building up of nitrates within the aquarium. So that's how I've cycled this aquarium. More as an example of one way, or a safer way, if you like, for adding fish. Do it with a few fish, do it with a hardy number of fish, and if you do want some more sensitive fish, use the Zebradanios initially to get your aquarium cycled, and keep them in there. They'll be fine. Just have a few Zebradanios, in with your other fish species. Okay then. So what fish have I got? I have the fish here in a bucket, and I collected them just before, actually. So here they are. Because there's a number of species, they all come in separate bags. So, which is normal because they are coming from different aquariums, and I would expect an aquarium shop not to put them all in the same bag unless they've all got the same water supply. So the species I have are black phantom tetra, flame tetra, lemon tetra, and X-ray. So these are all tetra species that are fairly hardy or hardy. They will tolerate generally a pH up to around about 8, and they suit my water hardness, they suit my temperature for my aquarium. So these fish are well suited to me and what I have. So, and also they're Brazilian as well. Bonus. So now, if you want to go down the approach and you really want to understand properly before you decide on your fish, I would suggest that what you do is you go to someone like, go onto the website of Maidenhead Aquatics. They have a really good sort of description of a whole range of sort of fish species and their preference ranges, and it's like a database of fish, freshwater fish and that sort of thing. So that is a really good way to have a look at the fish that you're thinking of, and if necessary change your mind, but also choose fish, as I said, that are a match to the conditions and the water you have. What I'm going to do is I'm going to add these fish into here. Now you might think, well, why has he put them in a bucket? The reason I've done that is because it takes a good half an hour for each bag to go into this aquarium, to acclimatise the fish each time. So what I have in here, I have water that is heated to the same temperature as in the tank, and I'm monitoring it with here. So that's what I'm doing. I'm just keeping this about the same temperature. So this is tap water, but funny things happen. Make sure if you're going to do this, make sure you do apply your normal AquaSafe, just in case, because you don't want a bag with a leak or a fish that happens to fall out or something like that going into straight tap water. So do treat your water with dechlorinator. So there you are. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put these fish slowly through here, and I'm not going to cover the whole of this through videos. I've already done this in previous videos where I've shown how you add fish. So that's what I'm going to start doing now. Yeah, the first fish are the black phantom. So that I've just put them in there. It's not going to take me long to get that water that they're in to the same temperature as the tank, because I've already been doing that. They've been since I brought them back. They have been in water roughly about the same temperature as the aquarium, so it's not going to take. I mean, normally you'd take about sort of around about. Well, it depends actually. It depends on how far you've brought the fish. If you've had to go a fair distance to collect those fish and to bring them back, that temperature in the bag is going to sort of start to cool down. So it is very important that you get that water temperature back up, but normally you wouldn't really put the bag in for much longer than sort of 5 minutes initially, and this is just to start warming the bag, the water in the bag that the fish are in. I also whenever I get fish, I absolutely hate. They always tie the bag in a knot, and I absolutely hate those knots. I really, really hate them. And if you're dealing with a number of bags, it's far easier to use some sort of kitchen bag clips. That's what I do. So that means I don't have to. I'm not trying to untie those stupid knots on this video. They drive me mad. I can never get them undone. Anyway, so yeah, so I'm using clips. Really just on the top of each bag, just so I don't have to get frustrated all the way through each bag as I open it, and I have to go through this process. So I'm just going to give them 5 minutes, and I'm just going to start to top up the water that's using water from the aquarium into their bag, and just acclimatise them. As I said, this normally takes it normally takes about sort of 30 minutes, 45 minutes. It depends on a range of things. Okay, for topping up the bags with aquarium water, I always use. I've got this, and I always use this. It's the only thing. It's its only role in life. It's never done anything apart from top up fish bags. The reason being, I know it's clean. You know, it's never been in a dishwasher. It's never had alcohol in it, and it's only ever used for this. And also, I quite like the quantity. It's quite a nice amount of top up. So I'm going to do a first top up. So and that's it. Put the clip back on, and then just give that another 5 minutes, and just carry on doing that. That's what you need to do. You'll find with certain species, a good example. There's various examples actually, but lemon tetras. They once they're in your tank and they're sort of stable and been in there for a while, they will develop a very yellow sort of colour to them. When you see them in an aquarium shop, they just don't have that colour. And it's also, you'll find that some fish species, when they're stressed, in other words, when you buy them and you bring them back, they will tend a tendency to go paler than what they're supposed to be. But you will find that once you put them in, and once they settle down, those colours will all come back. As that fish becomes sort of happier in its new environment, so all those colours will come back. So whilst those are cooking in the fish stew, the other thing I'm going to do, even though I've cycled this tank and I know it's fully cycled, I'm still going to apply ATM colony here. So I'm going to dose the tank with the normal sort of dose, in other words 70 ml in this case, or at the same time put the fish in. So I'm going to do it now while those fish are not in, but it doesn't matter. You can do it after the fish are in. It doesn't really matter. So I'm going to apply 70 ml of colony. The reason being is because that will will give another boost of bacteria to the aquarium, but also it will just help to limit the amount of ammonia, because I'm going from originally 3 fish to a larger number of fish. That will create, if you like, a peak, a rise in ammonia, and the bacteria are not going to be, the colony of bacteria is not going to be of a size that can deal with that straight away. A bacterial colony will tend to double in size within about 20 hours normally. So, and that's in a heated tank, I must say. So the bacteria colony I have in here, associated with those initial fish, will double within 20 hours, and it will double again. It will just keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger over a 20-hour period. So, and that's gradual over 20 hours. It's not like it only happens after 20 hours. That's how long it takes it for. So the bacteria will expand to deal with the ammonia. Adding this in helps to deal with the ammonia created by the new fish. So that's exactly why I'm using it, really, to protect the fish, but also to give the bacteria a boost, a further boost of additional bacteria. I'm gonna do what I always do. If you see my other videos, you know I do this. You think, why has he got that bottle out? It's not. It's the lid I want off that bottle, because what I want to do, the top of here holds 10 ml. So, and the important thing, as always, you can't shake this enough. Really, I would say I would say shake this for maybe even a minute. Just keep shaking it and shaking it before you put it in. Like that. Now you cannot. I could pour the whole of this bottle in there. You can't overdo it. But it's always worth just keeping some back, because if you've got a bit of a problem with the ammonia, you can just put some more in, like the next day or something like that. You can keep adding this in, you know, to deal with problems. A lot of products are like that. That are these bacterials, you know, that you can keep adding them, and the quantity, because it's natural, you can't really overdo them. Just topped up again using this. The other thing I'm doing also is keeping an eye on the temperature in here, because I'm trying to keep these two things. So that's currently 23.9. My tank's 24. So and I'm just doing that by using a cup and some warm water, and just occasionally just adding a bit of warm water in, just to keep that water. And it is quite surprising how quickly the heat, even on a bucket this size, reduces. And that, I would say it's even worse in a bag, one of these bags with fish in. So my point about how far you've carried, how far you've transported those fish, you know, that temperature could be quite low by the time you start to put them in here. So I think it's, especially if you're dealing with several bags where you know you've got to, there's like a half an hour at least between each fish that you're adding in. Just put them into something like this, and just keep it fairly warm, fairly similar to your aquarium. It's quite easy to do. Now, I did mention that zebra-danios are a really good sort of fish recycling, which is what I did. But to get zebra-danios out of a tank, out of an aquarium, because I didn't want them in here, you know, to mix in with these Brazilian fish species. I wanted them out of the tank, and I also didn't want to have the burden of those three fish in addition to the new fish. So I caught them, and zebra-danios are you wouldn't believe how quick they can be. And the only way to do it really is you need to take everything out of the aquarium, lower the level down, and then try and catch them. The long-finned zebra-danios are much slower than if you like, the original shape zebra-danios, or the more streamlined, which swim are more like a tuna. They absolutely fly around an aquarium, and there's been times in the past where I've used zebra-danios that I've had to give up on maybe one and try again, because another thing they can do is, when they know that you're after them, they will also go under the ceramic media as well, and you don't want that where a fish gets trapped. So whenever that happens, I start to worry, and I sort of back off that idea, and then maybe give it a go another time. But yeah, but I did manage to get the zebra-danios back out, so they're back with their friends in one of my other aquariums. So those black phantom are now ready to go in that aquarium, so they can be the first to explore it. Now, there are I'll say there are three main ways, if you like, of how you get your fish now into your aquarium. I mean, the first and obvious one is you literally release the whole bag of water with the fish straight into your aquarium. That's fine, because I know this quantity of water I have in here is keeping this tank up to here, so by doing that it's not going to overflow, so that's fine. But one argument for not doing it that way is because you might introduce, from the aquarium water from your supplier, you might introduce something in their water to your tank. So I can't say I've ever had a problem with the fish I get, because I always get them from the same place, and I've never had a problem, and I know they look after their aquariums extremely well. So, but I'm so the other method, apart from the sort of release the bag method, is to, in effect, to empty the bag through a net like this. So to release this, so you're catching the fish in effect. So you have, if you like, 100% fish, water in here, and then put those fish in, which is what I'm going to do. I'm going to do it that way. I mentioned there was another way, which is really just to let out some of the bag. So rather than just put the full bag of water into your aquarium, you could reduce the amount of water in the bag, so you're not putting sort of loads in. That's another way to do that. If you're going to do it, make sure you do it over something just in case a fish does go out of that bag. So it needs to be something clean. Don't do it over the sink with the plug up, because that fish will go down the sink and down the plug. So just have a think about, put a lot of thought into what would happen if one of those fish actually goes through. So I'm just going to remove some of the water from this bag. There you go. I've reduced the quantity of water I had in there, and now I'm going to use this. This is the type of thing that is better to be done when you've got someone to give you a hand. But I'm going to do it in my own way, which is to put the bag into the net and then just slowly let that water go through. There you go. That's it. Pure fish. Put them into there. There you are. Wow. It's always nice to add fish. There's something really special about adding your first fish in particular, but there's something special about adding fish to an aquarium. So hopefully this will settle in nicely. And now I need to work on one of the other bags. So I've actually added 2 bags this time because it's easier. So I put another 2 species in there. So I'll sort of cut, I think, really to the sort of the end of this, rather than make you go through endless hours of this. Now, just one thing I'll say, just a tip, really. Another tip is hang on to your bags, your aquarium bags. Dry them out and keep them, because you never know when you might need them. Okay, so that I've done that. I've got all the fish in. I need a rest. So I've added 4 different species of Brazilian tetra in here. They all seem to be doing well. Just a few things. When you add new fish, do that. Turn your lights off and probably leave them off for about an hour or something like that. Just let the fish settle down. You'll often find they'll just go and sort of hide somewhere for a little while. Not all of them. So there you go. Just to finish off, make sure that you keep testing your water using your test kit. Do that every day. Keep an eye on ammonia in particular, and also nitrite. Use colony if you have a peak, particularly in ammonia. Use colony to deal with that. That will help you. So that's that. When you add your fish, do take time to acclimatise them. Acclimatising fish is not just about temperature. It's about the variation in the water between your supplier's water and your aquarium, and that could be pH, it could be TDS, a whole range of things. And it's normally that sort of TDS. I've done a video on TDS, but it's particularly trying to get the TDS of the water in the bag to being the same or thereabouts as the one in the aquarium. So do take time. It's a good half an hour and more, depending on a range of things, but yeah, at least half an hour, and it could be up to an hour to acclimatise them. Make sure you do research. And yeah, there's 2 things here, and I'll go back to my point. it's always best to choose fish that suit your tap water, and don't go for fish that you're going to struggle, especially if you're not used to an aquarium. If you have hard water and you put in soft water species, you are going to struggle as a new owner to get the water suitable for those fish, and you probably won't have the fish for too long because of that variation. So always choose the right fish for your water. I did mention the website for Maidenhead Aquatics. They have a freshwater fish data bank, which is what I mentioned before. It's a really good source of information, and it has quite a lot of detail for loads and loads of different fish. So use that for you to make sure that you choose correctly. So, and I think that's about it. Yeah, and keep your bags, because you never know, you might need them. Keep your water bags. So I'm going to keep an eye on these fish now. Just make sure they're all okay. They all look fine, actually. Maybe they're on that side because I'm on this side, so they obviously don't like me. And maybe their view through this orb, I've got this massive head or something, I don't know. But anyway, they're all on that side, but not all of them. Some of them are hiding just down here, I can see them. So, yeah. So that is it from me for this video. I hope you found that interesting. I hope you found it useful as well, of course. And I will see you in the next video, and take care. Bye.